Alright everybody, welcome to our second game in our salute to Wayforward on their 30th anniversary this year. The Wayforward digital sales across various PC platforms has ended. However, the party's still going on, as this time we're hitting up a licensed game, WWF Betrayal. Now, this was the only WWF game that Wayforward Technologies was involved in. Although it was also worked on by THQ, who did a lot with WWE. Alright, and as you saw right there, if you put in that particular password, 4232, you access the debug menu. So we're just going to turn on God mode here. And take a quick look at and we're going to pick the Undertaker. And for those of you who don't know much about WWF history, this would be the period of time in which Undertaker had foregone his classic supernatural gimmick and was a biker, also known as the American Badass or Biker Taker among the fan base. So he looks a little more human here and is rocking the vest and bandana. Oh no, a trash can! Okay, we got punch, kick. Yay. Wait, Taker, I need your help. You need my help? What's the catch? No catch. They've kidnapped my daughter. What will you give me if I help to get Stephanie back? I'll give you a new title shot. Yeah. So the big thing, unlike pretty much every other WWF game ever been made, this is not a wrestling simulator game. Ooh, we got a fight. Yeah, haha. This is done as a beat 'em up. So, woohoo! And as you can see, the plot is that Stephanie McMahon's been kidnapped. Which is kind of amusing that I chose The Undertaker, since he himself, in storylines, did kidnap Stephanie McMahon once. So, yay! Of course, that was before the bike era. That's when he was doing the whole Ministry of Darkness thing. He was leading his, not Satan, because we can't say that, but evil cult. Let's see where we go now. Oh, okay, because there's another guy right here. So, but yeah, we're just going to turn God mode on and check out as much of this game as we can check out, because yes, I looked online to see if there were any like little extra live cheats or whatnot, but I have never actually played this game. The classic wrestling style games really weren't that great on the portable consoles. I think it was more about the hardware limitation. Heck, truth is, the NES wrestling games weren't all that great. I mean, it was the best we had and we could expect at the time, but the wrestling games, there were a couple good ones for the Super Nintendo and the old coin-op arcades, but the wrestling games really didn't pick in until your 3D generation with the PlayStation, Nintendo 64. You know, that's when they started the SmackDown series, which, real quick wrestling video game history. Kick you this time. The current WWE series, which is called WWE 2K, and then the actual year, Parking Garage, is considered, despite the title change, a direct continuation from the SmackDown series, which, yay, chokeslam, which, after a point in time when the company started instituted their first brand split, they renamed the SmackDown games first SmackDown vs. Raw, and that's when they started putting the years on the games. Previously, the SmackDown games just had subtitles. It was like SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown Just Bring It, SmackDown I think it was like Shut Your Mouth, which, you know, the first couple were borrowed catchphrases from The Rock, because The Rock kind of got the term SmackDown over in the WWE setting. You know, he'd say, The Rock's going to lay the SmackDown. Oh. So they named their new TV show, which is still on the air many, many years later, SmackDown. So when they started needing to subtitle the sequel video games in the SmackDown series, they just started coming up with, you know, SmackDown, and they'd be like a phrase The Rock had used. Oh, okay, it stuns them. Except for the last one, which was Here Comes the Pain. And then they started doing SmackDown vs. Raw with the titles. They actually had a lot of games. Most of the games were named after TV shows or pay-per-views. Because you'd have like WrestleMania, Super WrestleMania. There was one on, might have been PlayStation, I think, called WWE In Your House, which was another odd one because it was a straight wrestling game, but it was done by people who had worked on Mortal Kombat. So, yeah, I'm assuming the God mode is why my energy thing keeps bouncing up and down, since I have infinite health. So, woo. Sorry for anybody that's distracted by my dancing energy bar, but I wanted to make sure I could get past the first level, and it wasn't just an hour of me playing the same 10 minutes of gameplay over and over again. Because I didn't know how hard this game would be. I knew it was a beat 'em up. Beat 'em ups, as we've seen from many other beat 'em up games I've done on my channels, can be hard, especially if you've never played them before. Austin's the one that kidnaps... Austin and The Rock kidnapped Stephanie. Quick, get her out of here. What about The Undertaker? Go, I'll take care of the dead man. I'm gonna beat up Austin? Ooh. By God! Stone Cold! Stone Cold! Yeah, see, knowing I have invulnerability, I'm not even. Oh, there you go, haha. Looked like that was supposed to be his last ride move. At the time, his finishing move. He wasn't using the tombstone pile driver. He was using the last ride powerbomb. So, woo. Oh, now I'm beating up street punks instead of arena staff. Good to have variety. But yeah, what I was saying was, yeah, In Your House is a little weird because since, you know, it was a basic wrestling game by and large, but like some of the finishers got really out there. Oh no, it's a female on male violence, scandalous. Except I'm the Undertaker. I'm the American badass. Oh, climbing ladders. Look at that shimmy butt. Look at that shimmy butt. I care not for your scandals and accusations of symbolism of domestic violence, for I kick and throw. But yeah, they would have like really crazy out there finishers, as you would expect from something inspired or worked on by the people that did Mortal Kombat. So I don't know. I may track that game down and see if we can play it on here. It's a little newer than most of what I focus on, but I do like to play a lot of those early era WWE games before they kind of got the formula down. Oh, guess that would restore my health if I needed health restored. Which, as I said, really came out with the first SmackDown game, and then there was WWE Attitude, and more famously, No Mercy on the N64. No Mercy was an excellent game. The graphics have dated very, very poorly on it, which most of the PlayStation and 64 games did, because a lot of programmers were still trying to figure out 3D. For people who have never played these games before, I know now they've, there's some of the PlayStation games are up as digital downloads on the modern PlayStations, and I think they had the PlayStation Mini with all the classic games in it. But I found the thing with 3D graphics, yay, we're in the subway, was that they were pretty good, and when you were building a character from scratch, especially if they weren't completely human. Again, an example of this is like Crash Bandicoot, who was created for the PlayStation. And his old school games look perfectly fine. They've aged well. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask are good examples. Even though they have had remakes, all in all, their graphics aged well. I have those games in their original release, not their remakes, and I have no problems looking at them. But it seems like anytime they were trying to do human characters in 3D, and in that early era, especially when you would have close-ups of them, like you would expect in like wrestling games where, like one-on-one or maybe two-on-two in a tag match, and so the camera's going to be tight because there's not a big exploring element, that you would, let me see how I phrase this. You notice the faces look really inhuman, ironically. It's like, the early 3D games were very polygonal. Like, you could see there wasn't any real curves. It was pretty much just triangles and squares put together. So the faces are just, again, at the time, nobody cared because we were just so excited to have 3D style games. We were so used to games that, graphically looked like this right here. But, fast forward a couple generations, and, dude, do you have Briefcase Gun? That is like so... What kind of weird city is this that you have a briefcase gun? That's like something straight out of an action movie. I mean, it works great for a game, but still, it's like, wow, that is just... that is a briefcase machine gun. It's The Rock! You might be the Phenom, but I'm the people's champion. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking? But yeah, like, what I was saying is, yeah, if you look at the PlayStation 1 WWE game, SmackDown games, and the 2 N64, well, 3, because they also did WrestleMania 2000, but pretty much nobody cared, because, like, once No Mercy came out, that was all people wanted to play, because it had so many things going right for it. And again, at the time, nobody really batted an eye at the graphics. Or they drag Stephanie to Titan Towers. We'll see about that. So yeah. Level 5, Titan Towers. As far as classic wrestling games, I'm fond of WWE Raw for the Super Nintendo. It plays well. The cast of characters is really small compared to what you know, again, if you play modern wrestling games where you have like, 70, 80 people on there. Maybe more if you have DLC. Well, actually, no, I think that's about what it is with DLC. I would have to look at the recent rosters and count. I have not actually bought a WWE game in a few years. I'm still playing 2K16. Mostly because I'm not really fond of what they did with the 2K series. I got 16 as they were getting ready to release 17, so I got it on sale. Nice and cheap with all the DLC already added to it. So, But because previously to that I hadn't bought a wrestling game for like 3 years. So it's a thing. I think but yeah. I picked The Undertaker for this playthrough. I know I'm not even really talking about the game, but it's it's a beat 'em up. I love beat 'em up games because you can if you've played one, you can pretty much pick up and play any game, any beat 'em up game. It's a wonderful genre. The better ones, and we've played some of them on this channel, will have a lot of hidden strategy to them. But basically, it's just this is what it is. It's gaming at its most basic and most satisfying. Machine gun briefcase again. That is not security compliant. TSA will not let you on a plane with a briefcase gun. Of course, right now nobody's going on a plane, period. But, oh no! Must be one of these, like, industrial freight elevators or something. Alright. Yeah. I will say I find it kind of amusing for a beat 'em up that they're... Yeah, that's your pause. It's Game Boy Color, so I only have a handful of buttons. That there's no jump button. Because, like, the jump attack is infamous in beat 'em ups. So, apparently they just decided to forego jump attacks in this game. Or even just jumping as a dodging maneuver. So, kind of interesting. That is one thing I will immediately say that I noticed right away in the game. But yeah, I chose Undertaker because out of the 4 playable characters, Undertaker's my favorite. I've been a fan of his for a couple decades now, basically ever since I got into wrestling. Which is not surprising. Okay, the arrow says go that way, but you can't actually go that way. Haha, fooling you. Ah, you see, they do have a run button. More women to beat up! Yay! We're controversial! Although we're also rescuing a woman, so I guess it's not like... It's kind of a balancing act. It's like, yes, I'm beating up women, but I'm also trying to rescue a woman, so I'm clearly not like a woman hater, and there's plenty of males too. Or maybe they're men in drag. And I'm gender guessing and gender shaming. How dare I? I don't know. It's a thing. We've talked about it when I did the Final Fight games, about how a lot of early beat-em-ups would, have questions after the game was programmed, or as it would be localized for different nations, about having one gender beat up a different gender. So, things happen. Dude, you shot my pipe. Possibly me a little. Besides, I figure if you're going to be God mode, hey, why not play Undertaker? He's a supernatural, mystical being. It would make sense for him to be invulnerable. As opposed to, like, The Rock or Austin. But yeah. Of course, again, as I said, technically in this era, Undertaker wasn't a supernatural being because he was doing the whole American Badass thing, but, you know, it's kind of weird. Haha. I don't think this is... Well, actually, wait, that might be in the... Let's see. That might be in the actual Titan Tower. Let's see. I'm trying to remember my time period here. I think that would be Sable. One of those is probably China. Assuming this is modeled after Titan Towers. Not sure who the other one would be, though. With the pixelation, it's kind of hard to tell. Huh. Would be an interesting question for the developers is, hey, did you actually get to see photos of the interior of Titan Towers, or did you just create a generic office building? I should have known. Stephanie was never kidnapped. You kept me running around while you and Triple H ran off with the title. So Deadman Inc. has figured things out. Yeah, that was Undertaker's alternate name during the biker era, was Deadman Inc. Or rather, one of his nicknames. As a bit of a throwback to the base nature of his original gimmick that got him over. You know, Deadman ain't gonna make you famous. Triple H, you and Stephanie get to the roof. I'll handle this. You and what army? I have already beaten up The Rock once, and I'm gonna do it again. I cannot be stopped, for I am invincible. Quite literally, I cheat. But yeah, what I was starting to say before I got a little shot here was, yeah, I like WWF Raw on the SNES. It's, got good controls, good variety of matches there. So, Deadman, you made it through The Rock. I'll bet you the heavyweight title that you can't make it through me. I've played this game before. So, yeah. Whee! Where you going, huh? Where you going? I will not be defeated. Oh, he used his pedigree on me. Which I'm sure would have cost me a life if I wasn't cheating. But I don't care. We're going to see this entire game. Bam! Last ride. Which actually, I guess that's supposed to be the last ride. It's kind of hard to tell. I need to slow down the animation and look at it better. But, either way, he's down. You're in Tiger's yard. You better be ready to lose. Congratulations! Woo! Huh. Well, I guess when you're cheating, that it's actually a pretty short game. I mean, yeah, it was a Game Boy Color game. It was limited hardware, but kind of expected it to last a few more minutes than that. Let's see. Yay, lovely credits. Alright, well, let's see. You know what? Let's run it through with one of the other characters. Just to be that guy. Alright, let's see. You know what? We'll pick Austin since Steve Austin's a cool guy, and again, out of the four, he would be my second favorite. Everybody knows Austin. Everybody likes Stone Cold. So, okay, so it's The Rock. Who interferes this time instead of Austin? I'll just kind of see what some of his special moves are instead. Oh, there we go. A little stunner. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. We're gonna go rescue Stephanie again. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's see. I mean, I will say, as I said, the lack of a jump button's a little different from most beat 'em up games. But I gotta say, for a licensed game that, you know, it's not a bad beat 'em up at all. Good variety of levels here. You know, we get the back of the arena, we had the city streets, we had Titan Towers, the parking lot. Each of the levels looks distinctive. Good basic storyline that doesn't try to overindulge itself, because as I said, the whole whole appeal of the beat 'em up genre is the actual interaction and, you know, just the fun of going around and beating the smack out of people, which, you know, it's kind of weird. The beat 'em up genre, even though, as I've said before, it's kind of like a 2.5D type thing instead of, you know, it's not a full 3D, but it's a little more dimension to it than straight platformers. Then we had this discussion on our other beat 'em up, some other beat 'em up games we played. So it's kind of interesting that Parking Garage, that the beat 'em up really did not survive the move to 3D. It's, you know, there were a few of them in the early days. I think a lot of it too is the fall of the arcade, because most console beat 'em ups were ports of arcade games, or in the case of like the Final Fight sequels, which I know we discussed in the Final Fight games, but for those people who haven't seen those videos yet, the first Final Fight game was a port of an arcade game, but the sequels were Super Nintendo exclusive. But again, they were sequels to a port, so they were still highly influenced by arcade games and the arcade game logic of, you know, be somewhat difficult because we want to get as many quarters as we can out of the player. Because that was the business model for coin-op arcade games. So, yeah, I don't know if it's just that with arcades kind of fading in general popularity, that beat 'em ups, which really were designed for arcade, I mean, were perfect fits for arcade games. You know, Super Nintendo Genesis, the 16-bit era really you know, the beat 'em ups took off, but again, the vast majority of them were ports, so it was understandable. You know, it still was a reflection of the arcade, which got the games first, and then if they made good bank, they would get console ports. Who else wants a piece of Stone Cold? Stump a mud hole in your can. Right, no, Candy Butt was rock. Stump a mud hole. There's stump a mud hole and walk it dry. By God, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. Is there an enemy back here? Yep. Clunk, clunk. Not anymore. Can I go on now? Yay. Door. But yeah, this is, you know. Oh, okay, so Undertaker's the first boss when Austin's the good guy. Stone Cold. The Rock can handle stuff. No, Rock is. So Undertaker's the one that goes on, so, yeah. Need a little randomizing here of the boss orders. Either way, you're going to fight the 3 characters that you didn't choose to play as, so. Yeah, what I was going to say about WWF Raw for the Super Nintendo, and I do have to keep, the reason I have to keep clarifying that is, years later they did a WWF Raw with a direct sequel for the Xbox, which never played, but the fact that they quit after 2 games is probably a sign that they were not as well received as the SmackDown series. Apple, I don't know. I'd have to go up and like look up reviews of the games at the time. Because that's the problem with the internet. Like, people can sit there and get old games and write modern reviews of them. And it's not always necessarily a fair review because unless they're an old school gamer, kind of like myself was, they tend, you know, I've noticed a lot of modern reviewers who started in the later eras. Okay, yeah, you have to go up. There is not an alternate path thing. Okay. They don't always view it in the proper perspective. It's like, they may grab a game because they were a fan of the series because it's run for a long time. So it's like, oh, I'm going to go play the original game in the series. And then if they're not used to playing games from that era, they tend to judge the game harshly because it's not what they're used to playing. And I'm not necessarily saying there's anything wrong. It's just, it's the nature of the beast. It's hard to appreciate a simpler game. Woo, pie. If it doesn't have any kind of nostalgia value to it. Like, even me, I've never played this game before. Stunner. Kind of like our previous game, Extreme Sports, which I recommend all my Wayforward fans watch, because it is part of my little salute to Wayforward we're doing here. So, doop. Subways. But yeah, it's you know, playing these games still gives me a little bit of a nostalgia feel to it, just because this, you know, these are the games that I grew up on. Like, I mean, I remember when the Game Boy Color first came out. Like, it was a huge thing, because the Game Boy, again, for younger viewers who really were not around at the time, like, there was a lot of portable consoles. I guess I shouldn't say portable console, because console tends to be, I don't know, I guess you could say portable consoles. For a long time, I only heard consoles refer to the ones that plug into your TV and sit at your house. So, but I guess now they call them home consoles, and these are portable consoles. But either way, portable game systems, you know, there was a lot that came out in short order because there were still several companies manufacturing hardware. But like the Game Boy it was always number one. Like, I mean, you'd have people who prefer like the Game Gear over it, and you know, it's neither right nor wrong. It's all personal taste. But like the Game Boy was just so popular. It was, and you know, it really took off. So the idea of producing a successor to it, you know, it seems obvious from a business sense, but bam, bye-bye female. I certainly did not mean any harm to you or your gender, and there was no symbolic representation here in beating you up. You're just another enemy. Boom. But at the same time, like for fans, it was, you know, the Game Boy was just such a, you know, big thing. I'm trying not to say game changer, because that just feels like I'm trying to be witty and cute. Oh, the Game Boy was a game changer. But it really was. There's so many, I mean, there were so many excellent games for that original system. And the big thing that, like, a lot of the other portable consoles would try to hold over it is, oh, our games are in color. So when the Game Boy Color eventually came out, it was like, okay, now what do you got going for you? So it's weird. It's okay. Here we go. Now we get to beat up the Undertaker. Try me, else and I'll make you famous. Yep, that was Undertaker's big line, which he still uses occasionally. He actually just used it on a promo on Raw, which was nice. He hadn't said it for a little while, so hearing him dig that one out was a good changer. Bam! Stunner. If you know what's good for you, you'll tell me where they took Stephanie. Titan Towers. You better not be lying to the rattlesnake. So, you know, all in good fun. But, yeah, it's, you know, the Game Boy Color was just massive big deal, especially for people that were Nintendo loyalists like me. You know, I had the Game Boy, I had the NES. My cousin had the Super NES, and I was over at his house pretty regularly playing it. But yeah, I did get the Game Boy Color. I've actually, except for the Virtual Boy, I've had every major Nintendo portable. The Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Advance SP, the DS, and the 3DS XL. I do not have a new 3DS. I know it's supposed to have better processing and the extra little camera rotating button. But I really just, since my 3DS works very well, I really just never could convince myself to buy that particular upgrade. The Advance of the Advance SP was a little more of a thing at the time. I don't know, maybe I was just like really much more focused on my portable gaming. But I don't know. Yeah, I did but yeah, I do have the 3DS XL. And you know, again, I didn't get the 2DS because I had already had 3DS, and it's more of a variant than a full-on new system. I would say the new 3DS would be closer to a new system, since there is distinct processor enhancements and stuff. But, you know. just hasn't been anything I've picked up as of yet. And of course now they have the Switch, which is kind of a hybrid system, because you can, I mean, heck, they have, what is it, the Switch Lite, which is just the portable part now, so it's, yeah, basically cements the fact that the DS line is done with, and unless whatever comes after the Switch, because there is going to be something after the Switch. And I'm not saying that because the Switch has problems, but it's just, it's the video game business. As long as Nintendo, yay, stays in business, they will eventually release a new console. That's just the nature of it. Yeah, I never had the Virtual Boy, which was supposed to be a portable console, but I don't really know how good it worked as far as something like you could sit there and play in the back seat of the car, because, you know, you obviously wouldn't play it while you're driving. That's distracted driving, and that's wrong. Bam! You know what happens to distracted drivers? Stone Cold hits them with a stunner, and then they blink and their body disappears. That's what happens to distracted drivers. Bam! So, yeah. But yeah, I did play demos of the Virtual Boy in stores. So I have played the Virtual Boy in my life. And it was a very awkward console. There's a lot of reviews online of the Virtual Boy and histories of it for people that have no clue what I'm talking about. The idea is they called it the Virtual Boy because it was the first half of the 90s. And virtual reality was a big buzzword, but it was essentially the first attempt at a 3D console. The problem is, because of the limits of the technology, it, like the Game Boy, was not full color. It appeared as like red and black. And you kind of like the modern, like, 3D smartphone viewer things that they sell now, the 3D goggles, which I haven't messed with personally, but it was similar to that, and that it was this apparatus thing, you down, boy, you down, that you would stick on your head. Austin, I know I couldn't trust you. Stephanie was never kidnapped. You let Triple H steal my title, and then you set me on a wild goose chase. Don't trust anyone. Isn't that your motto, Austin? Triple H, you and Stephanie get to the roof. I'll handle this. I'm gonna run you down. Alright, another fight with the Undertaker. Breaks my heart to have to beat up the Undertaker. But that's what happens when you play video games for a living. Woo! So, woo! Meet it to the Undertaker. I'll bet you the heavyweight title you can't make it through me. I'll just read you a bit of Austin 316. Yeah, pretty much everybody knows Austin 316. That invaded pop culture a lot. YouTube it if you never saw the original promo. But try to get the full promo. Don't just get like a little 30-second clip of him saying it for the first time. Because it really helps to hear the whole promo and get the context of why he said Austin 316. Which, you know, of course, is whoop and bam. Another cheaty cheat run through of the game. Now I'm the heavyweight champion, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold says so. But yeah, there was a lot of context to the phrase, and that's part of why it originally started catching over, was he didn't just randomly say, Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass. I know I generally don't cuss on it, but I'm quoting, and, you know, that's not the worst word in the world. Woo! Another fun run through Betrayal. But, yeah, it's when you hear the whole context and the fact he was saying it after beating Jake the Snake Roberts, who at the time was portraying a born-again Christian gimmick, which was based off real life, what he was going through at the time. And you know what? We're going to try it without the God mode. Let's just see how far I get real quick since we have a few more minutes here. Ah, I see. Since we didn't do the cheat mode thing, yeah, we get the full portraits. Okay, The Rock. Because, you know, screw Triple H. He's going to always be the bad guy, at least on my stream. There's nothing like whooping on The Rock. Alright. Huh. Well, I guess the God mode thing is still on. So I don't need to put it in every time, do I? In that case, you know, hold with me for a second, folks. I'm gonna do a hard reset here, and yeah. Now we'll go ahead and do it without the cheating. And see how tough the game actually is. Yeah, for a beat-em-up game, this, especially for something on the Game Boy Color, which had definite hardware limits, that, you know, this is an interesting game. It's a good beat-em-up. Alright, go through this little intro segment real quick. It's, you know, it controls good. And honestly, for having to license something that did not initially lend itself to the beat-em-up genre like you would think, yep, there we go. Okay, normal energy bar. Alright, let's see how long I last. Dunk. You know, it really translates well. They did as good a job as I believe anybody could have done making a WWF-inspired beat-em-up game. So, you know, props to THQ and Wayforward. This has been a fun game. As I said, if you use the God mode cheat, so you don't have to worry about dying, then, and having to replay levels, it's, you know, it's short. It's definitely something, as I said, like, in keeping with the portable nature of the Game Boy Color, even though I, back in the day, like my Game Boy and all my other portable systems, freely played it in the house, foregoing this whole gaming on the go concept. I mean, yes, I took it with me when I would go on, you know, family road trips, and there were plenty of those, but I didn't wait for them to play, because they always had plenty of fun games like this. And his little rock bottom move. Alright, that's right. I had to come back for this guard. Kick. There's my hitbox on the kick. There it is. Alright, looks like kick doesn't have quite as much hitbox detection range. Or whatever the proper technical term is. I admit I'm not a crazy programmer person, but yeah, punches seem to hit from farther out, apparently. Alright. I am The Rock. I am The Rock. I'm a huge movie star. Everybody loves me. I'm super charismatic and witty. Okay, I will say, folks, after you finish watching this, because totally do not stop this video early for this sake, but if you have never seen it, go watch The Rock. You can find the clip online plenty of places. Go find The Rock on, what do they call it, Lip Sync Battle. I'm sorry, I've only seen the clip in and of itself. I've never, like, seen the whole episode, but go find The Rock on that Lip Sync Battle show. Lip syncing Woo, parking garage. Well, I made it second level, so the game's not too super hard without God mode. Boom! Immediate rock bottom. Boom! Okay, yeah, those okay. So those tasers are not fun at all when you're not invulnerable. And it looks like a dunk. Okay, one quick difference from most beat 'em ups I've found. Still not going to change my recommendation, but yeah, it seems when you die that it restarts you at the start of the level instead of just like an immediate respawn. So there we go. Get them before you can pull the tasers out. But yeah, go find Rock on Lip Sync Battle doing Taylor Swift's God, what's that song called? I don't want to sing it because I don't want to get flagged here for copyrighted material, but yeah, just put the Rock Lip Sync Battle. It'll come up. I think it's the only episode he's ever been on. It's the only clip I've ever seen of him doing it, but it is a Taylor Swift song that is very popular. You will recognize it as soon as the song begins, I am sure. And it is hilarious because The Rock, a.k.a. Dwayne Johnson, is a very good entertainer. Come on. Duke. And there we go. No taser. Don't tase me, bro. But yeah, The Rock's a great entertainer. I've never really, even though I'm a hardcore wrestling fan, and I felt like he still had physically the ability to keep wrestling, especially if he went to a part-time schedule like a lot of guys like John Cena and The Undertaker and Triple H have done in the back end of their career. I feel like he could have still gone on and done more work with a lot of guys as they, came in and everything. And I know he's done a couple, little interactions in the ring since, because I think his last official matches were when he came back and did the series with John Cena over the course of a couple WrestleManias. I don't think he had an official match after that. He's had a couple times where he's gotten in the ring and just laid people out. But I believe those were his last matches. Oh! Rock Austin, the great rivalry! Alright, let's see how one of these boss battles goes without my God mode here. No, back off, sucker him in. I gotta actually act like I know how to play beat 'em up games now. No. Ah! Okay, it at least restarts me at the boss fight, okay. God! He's actually harder this time. He's a maniac! He's all fueled up on redneck rage! Probably this is going to be my wall. Well, let's just burn through our lives and see what we get. So yeah, very fun game. Oh, before I forget real quick, one last shout out to other WWF games, since that has been the majority of our subject tonight. On the quirky game front, we are going to go ahead and give props to, or not props, but go ahead and give a, oh, okay, yep, game over. So there's no 0 life. Alright. Here. Woo. But, yeah. There is a WCW game, I think it was Backstage Assault, where it was completely fighting in the arena. Like, you could not pick a classic inside the ring match. Give me one quick sec, folks. I'm going to kind of leave you on the game over screen. I'm going to double check that reference because I don't want to go down as having said the name of the wrong game. I know it was a WCW game. So, let me... Yep. WCW Backstage Assault by Electronic Arts. Yet all gameplay takes place outside of standard wrestling ring. There's still wrestling matches, but all the action takes place backstage in a few different areas. And it was not well received because it was just simply something that people did not expect. It did come out on both the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me check that in your house game. Because I said it was PlayStation, but I want to double check that. Let's see. Yep. PlayStation and Sega Saturn. Okay, that's where I think my memory was causing me to have a little doubt. Was it was on 2 different consoles. So, but yeah, it was on the PlayStation. Yeah. It was not done by the Mortal Kombat people, but it was heavily influenced by Mortal Kombat. Excuse me, it was done by Sculpted Software. As a follow-up to WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, published by Acclaim Entertainment. So, a typical wrestling arenas, WWF in Your House featured personalized stages for each individual wrestler, such as a nightclub for Shawn Michaels, Stu Hart's Dungeon, which was the training facility for in the basement of the Hart family house for Bret Hart, and a crypt for The Undertaker. So, you know, good times. But that will do us for this week. Some point in the future, I may play some of the wrestling games we mentioned. Certainly the SNES WWF Raw, because as I said, I do enjoy some of the game modes and the roster. Oh, the one thing I kept bouncing around saying it and then getting distracted. One of the interesting things about WWF Raw is it was the first wrestling game, at least WWF game, that featured a female competitor, and this would be the late Luna Vachon, may she rest in peace. But because she was the only female, it meant anytime you picked her, or the computer picked her as the opponent, it was a intergender match. But Luna Vachon was infamous for being kind of tough, so, you know, it worked. We may play those games in the future. It is not going to be next week, because next week we have the 3rd game in our Wayforward flashback theme. And that is, let me go look at my file here so I can quote the name of the game properly. Don't want to get in trouble here. Sigma Star Saga, which is a Game Boy Advance game. So we are going from 2 Game Boy Color games to the Game Boy Advance. So that should be interesting. We'll see a little bit of improvement in the software. Because it it was a different system, a later system. But for now, I will say, if you find a copy of WWF Betrayal as a download or a physical cartridge in a used shop or on eBay or something, I would definitely pick it up. The boss got hard there, but if you use our helpful little God mode code that we used at the beginning of the game, hey, you can blast through the game in about 20 minutes. And I hope you all join us next week for Sigma Star Saga. And after that, that will most likely be the end of our Wayforward theme. However, for those people who do enjoy the company, I have done a video on my YouTube channel that was one of my Friday Rambling vlogs discussing my general feelings about Wayforward as a game company, some of the games I have played by them for my own enjoyment, not as a streaming entertainment for you. That kind of inspired me to do this theme that includes last week's Extreme Sports, this week's WWF Betrayal, and next week's Sigma Star Saga. Woo! Cheap plugging all around. Because as a company, they generally make really fun games. They've earned a lot of trust from me as a game company. And I know a lot of people feel that way because the company's been around for 30 years now. Please check out their official Twitter. Give them a shout out. Let me know in the comments when this game goes up on my previously mentioned YouTube channel, which is, of course, Roulette Productions. If you are not watching this on YouTube, go visit that. I have, besides last week's Extreme Sports, a full playlist of games from various retro systems, because I do enjoy the retro games. I generally don't go beyond the 16-bit era, but I may down the line, if we go into like a heavy wrestling theme, I may go ahead and alter that if I can get some good copies of some PlayStation era games. As I said, show off that WWF in your house. Maybe the first SmackDown game or so. You know, maybe do No Mercy on the N64 if I can get that to behave. Maybe not. I don't know. I tend not to really get too bogged down in the future of the channel. I let things go as they are. Do these things in one take. No editing. But yes, please check out my old playlist. Please, if you enjoy, if this game looks like it was a lot of fun, if you played it in the past, hey, go give shout-outs to Wayforward on their social media. They are on Twitter. They are on Facebook. Let them feel the love as they celebrate 30 years. And join us next week as we play one more classic Wayforward portable game. Because we love you, Wayforward. And you know what? Since they did help produce this game, I'm going to give props to THQ, because THQ made a lot of great wrestling games back in the day. So props to THQ as well. Shoutouts all around. See you in 7. Bye-bye.